We're going to be touring the Tidewater area using the Children of 64. Come on, let's go! Alright everyone, today we're going to be doing Interstate 64 in the Tidewater area. If you know what that area is, it's basically just Norfolk, Virginia Beach, and Newport News, that entire area in southeastern Virginia. I'm going to be doing Interstates 264, 464, and 664 only. I'm not going to be doing 564 because it's just a glorified on-ramp to the Norfolk Naval Base there. Anyways, let's get started with this beach time video. But first, you're watching the TheDerpHog, where I make highways content on all sorts of different topics. If you've been enjoying it, be sure to hit that like button. And if you've been really enjoying it, be sure to smash that subscribe button so you're notified on all future videos. And if you really want to help out the channel, become a member today, where you get custom cool emojis, early access to future videos, along with one free exit request per month. And if you don't want to become a member, you can always just pay $3 for a intersection request in future videos. Those highways will be listed down in the description below, and I'll make sure to shout you out when that video releases. So let's get on with the highway. As you can see here, this is the map of the Children of the 64, and we have 664 in the west, 264 in the east, and 464 as this blue line. So with that, when we talk about southeastbound Children of the 64. So we begin here on Interstate 64 itself, where coincidentally we have exit 264 for Interstate 664, and it's signed south for downtown Newport News, Suffolk, and Chesapeake. And once we go into 664 itself, we have a reassurance shield right over here. And at random interchanges, 664 is signed north for Richmond and south for Suffolk. And here in downtown Newport News, we're meeting US Highway 60 West, and 664 is signed south for Suffolk and Chesapeake still. And here we're crossing into one of the bridge tunnels here. And on the other side, we're meeting Virginia Highway 164 and US Highway 17. And despite Virginia 164 being a state route, there is actually no recorded plans of turning it into an interstate, which I think is kind of odd because it ends in 64. Now we're meeting US Highway 58, and this is probably the reason why we were signed for Suffolk. As we have US 58 signed west for Suffolk, and 58 east signed for Bowers Hill. And further down the road, we're meeting the National Eastern terminus of Interstate 64, which is signed for Chesapeake and Virginia Beach, while 264 is signed east for Portsmouth and Norfolk. And here we're transitioning from 664 to 264. And honestly, since this is just one continuous road, why not just keep one of these two numbers here down in the Tidewater area, and then transition one of them up to the Richmond area for the Western Richmond bypass. In our first exit on 264, we have for Greenwood Drive. Now we're meeting US Highway 17 and Virginia Highway 164 once again. And now we're crossing into another bridge tunnel here, as we're crossing under the bay once again. And on the other side, we're meeting Interstate 464, and it's signed south for Chesapeake. So we're going to be taking a look at 464 south. So once we got into 464 itself, we have our first exit for southbound 464, and it's for Virginia Highway 337. And further down the road, we're meeting US Highway 13, which just gets the Kentucky treatment down here. And we're also meeting Interstate 64 and US 17 soon. In fact, here's the terminus of 464 at Interstate 64, and it's signed for Virginia Beach and Richmond, while we're going to be turning into Virginia Highway 168, which takes us south to the Outer Banks. So we're going to be turning around and heading back towards Interstate 264. And once we get back onto Interstate 264 itself, we're now in the downtown Norfolk area, and we're now signed east for Virginia Beach. We're now meeting US Highway 460 and Virginia 168 and 166. Now we're meeting Interstate 64 and US Highway 13 as we still head towards the airport in Virginia Beach. Here are main US Highway 58, closer to the Virginia Beach area. And just like Massachusetts, we're getting a notification that Interstate 264 ends in a quarter of a mile. And then once we follow that surface street from 264, we end up here at US 60 in Virginia Beach. So I'd say this is technically the ending to Interstate 264. So with that, we're going to be turning around and doing northwestbound Children of the 64. So we begin here on US 60 itself, where we have a Interstate 264 shield right over here. And then once we get back onto Interstate 264, we actually have this really cool distance to time sign. And if you want to get to Interstate 295 in Richmond, it's actually faster to take just Interstate 64 west instead of taking it to US Highway 460. Man, that's one long drive. And after passing by that distance sign, we actually have a first reassurance shield for Interstate 264. And now we're meeting Interstate 64, and it's taking us to 664, which is pretty cool. And once we get into the downtown Norfolk area, we have a pull through for 264 and it's sign west for Portsmouth now. And we also have a 464 notification here. And apparently the 464 shield fell off here, so why haven't Virginia replaced it yet? Here's the actual exit for Interstate 464, and 264 is now assigned west to Interstate 664 for downtown tunnel and Portsmouth. On the other side of the tunnel, we're meeting US Highway 17, and now we get a laundry list of exits here for Interstate 264. And then a little ways up the road, we're now meeting Interstate 64 and Interstate 664, and we're assigned for Suffolk and Richmond, which are good choices. We're now transitioning back into Interstate 664, and here we're crossing over the James River into Newport News. And then on the other side, we're meeting US Highway 60, and we're also going to be meeting Jefferson Avenue and 35th Street. And then further up the road, we have Interstate 64, where this time it gets directions, and it's signed west for Richmond and east for Virginia Beach. So we'll end the Children of the 64 and move on to, the places I'll go. So these are all the places that I'd visit if I ever was in the Tidewater area. So like I said, these are all the places I'd visit. I'd actually visit all the Tidewater places, like the attractions in downtown of Newport News, Portsmouth, and Norfolk, and Virginia Beach. I also like to visit the Mount Trashmore Park along Interstate 264. So that's the ending of the Children of the 64. Thank you all so much for watching this short video on Interstate 64 Children in the Tidewater area. I hope you guys learned a little bit more about the highway, and I hope I inspired you to go visit the area, which I surely will do one day. So these are my next few highways. Next week I'm going to be doing the US Highway 401 reboot, and after that I decided I'm going to be doing a special Gimmick video instead of the US 72 reboot. And then after that I'm going to be doing my own special version of Interstate 26. And then after that I'm going to be starting US Highway 17, just the northbound portion. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see y'all next week.